The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome everybody on this Wednesday night. We're going to start off with a little sports here. I know it's WABC in New York, probably more political kind of stations around the country, but hell, this is too good to pass up. God, I love my job. Anyway, Kathy Hochul, the Democratic governor of New York, she's talking trash now with President Trump, where even on something as benign as the Knicks are going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Trump's a huge Knicks fan. He's gone to many, many games before he became president. And Kathy Hochul, being the governor of New York, has to say she's a Knicks fan. So I guess instead of just saying, hey, we both want the Knicks to win, she's got to take a shot at Trump. And she does so not knowing anything about the Knicks, apparently, because she was asked by a reporter, hey, President Trump says he's a huge Knicks fan. And what do you think about that? And here was her answer, cut number 23. Go.
I asked him to name the starting lineup from 1993 championship team and see how he does.
Oh, yeah. I remember the 1993 New York Knicks championship team. I get kind of teared up when I think about it, right? And Patrick Ewing and John Starks and, just a gritty team, Anthony Mason. I go down the line as far as like, boy, those Knicks, that was one special year here in New York, that 1993 New York Knicks championship team. I wonder if Trump could name the starting five there. Let's go down memory lane, shall we? Let's hear the final seconds of the New York Knicks 1993 season, and this is what it sounded like when that team won a championship. Cut number 24, go.
96-88 victory, and it is Chicago going on to the NBA Finals.
Chicago? The Bulls?
Chicago will attempt to three-peat, trying to become only the third team in NBA history to pull off three in a row.
Oh, so wait, the Knicks didn't win the championship that year? They didn't even go to the finals? They lost to the Chicago Bulls in 6 games? Oh yeah, that's right. That's when Charles Smith got blocked like 18 times in game 5 at home when that would have won the game. That's where the Knicks were up 2-0 in that series, right? Won the first 2 games at home and then didn't win another game after that. Lost 4 straight. Yeah, the 93. Can we play that again, Elias? Cut number 23, please. Go.
I asked him to name the starting lineup from 1993 championship team and see how he does.
Thank you, Kathy Hochul. That's just perfect. That's tremendous. I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel's going to be all over that tonight on his late night show because no one goes after Democrats quite like the Pope of late night. Anyway, Zohar Mamdani has to weigh in on the Knicks going to the finals, and he has a prediction. And boy, what a prediction. Cut number 22, go.
I think it's no coincidence that in your first year as mayor, the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. How does it feel to have the Knicks in the finals?
It feels incredible.
Knicks in 4?
Knicks in 4. Knicks in 4 always. Everybody's been saying Knicks in 6. Let's just keep the optimism going.
Knicks in 4. All right. Don't want to rain on everybody's parade, but the Knicks easily had the toughest, it's opposite day, had the easiest road to the finals I've ever seen. They only played a 6 seed, then a 7 seed, then a 5 seed. They played 3 very average teams with no heart whatsoever. Think about the Hawks in the first round. Game 6 in Atlanta. They could extend the series to 7. The Knicks at one point in the first half were up by 52 points. They totally threw it in a game 6, no less, in the playoffs. Playoffs? True story. Then, in the second round, the Sixers lost that final game, I think, by like 40 points. Well, let's look it up, guys. But, didn't even bother to show up. They got swept out of the building. Dr. J, if he were dead, he'd be turning over in his grave. So the Sixers mailed it in during that series. And then the Cavs, again, show some pride. You're at home in a game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that game was over in the first 3 minutes. I never saw a team care less than I guess the Sixers or the Hawks are probably above that, but still. And they got swept out of the building. It seems like once a team's down 3-0 these days in the NBA, these players are like, screw it. We're not coming back. Why bother even trying? So the Knicks were the beneficiaries of that. Now, I'm not saying that they're not a special team. Of course they are, but they're going to play like a real team in the finals, whether that's Wemby and the Spurs, whether that's SGA and the defending champion Thunder. And it ain't going to be the Cavs, ain't going to be the Sixers, ain't going to be the Hawks. That I can tell you. So I'll say Spurs or Thunder in 5. Yeah. 5 or 7. That's what I'm going to go with. All right. And we could save the tape. And if I'm wrong, go ahead, play it back. All we want. I can be as self-deprecating as anyone. Meanwhile, sticking on the sports theme, I guess, the Jackson Dart controversy has now reached day 5 because a guy from Ole Miss who's a fan of the president's decided to introduce him at a rally in New York. And that apparently is one of the biggest scandals to hit cable news in some time. Here is professional race baiter Jemele Hill. You may remember her. She was an anchor on SportsCenter and somehow managed to get fired from ESPN because even the things that she was saying were absolutely insane. Like saying that, everybody watching should boycott the Dallas Cowboys because Jerry Jones is a racist or something. Yeah, that's great for the brand. That's real smart. But if you are a Jemele Hill, or if you are a Joy Reid, or if you're a Tiffany Cross, or Chuck Todd, or Terry Moran, all these people got fired from their respective networks, you will have a home now on CNN. And especially Abby Phillips' train wreck of a show at 10 o'clock at night that can't even draw 600,000 viewers, which is really hard to do. So Jemele got her shot here, and now she's somehow injecting race into the Jackson Dart controversy, scare quotes, for no apparent reason, except that's exactly what she does, and it's the only thing she does. Cut number 14, go.
So, yeah, his teammate, who is a Muslim, who is a black man in America, had every right to question him about what that support means, especially when you are considered to be the face of the organization and the sort of default leader of the entire team.
What the F does it anything have to do with race? That Abdul Carter is a black man, a Muslim man. Who cares? I am certain there are New York Giants who are black that support President Trump because they make a lot of money and maybe they like to keep it. Maybe they don't like being taxed out the wazoo. Maybe they like border security. Maybe they like, only playing against men. And if they have daughters, they don't want to have men playing against their daughters in sports. Then it's a couple of reasons, right? So the automatic assumption that because Abdul Carter is black and Muslim, he should be offended by Jackson Dart introducing the president. That's Jemele Hill for you. Oh, by the way, she almost is as smart as Kathy Hochul when it comes to sports. Here she is talking about how sports and politics have always mixed, going all the way back to, yes, this administration. Cut number 13, go.
Are we at a place where anybody can say that if you're an athlete, you shouldn't be up on a political stage speaking?
Well, sports and politics have always mixed. I mean, they've mixed since the days of George Washington.
Wait, what? What sports were being played during the Washington administration? Just out of curiosity. Let's see, baseball not invented yet, football not invented yet, basketball not invented yet, hockey not invented yet. They've mixed since the days of George Washington? Are guns at dawn? Was that a sport? You watch cable news sometimes, not Fox, of course, and I swear you are stupider having done so after clips like that. Anyway, Chuck Todd, speaking of people fired from their jobs, this guy used to be the moderator of Meet the Press, where the great Tim Russert used to reside, and the guy just put that whole brand down the toilet. Chuck now just appears on podcasts from his basement kitchen, usually with Chris Cillizza, another guy fired from his job at CNN. And here he's actually making the argument, Chuck Todd is, because he's the objective one who, doesn't take a side and has no bias whatsoever, saying President Trump actually isn't a very active president. No, really. Cut number 6, go.
He is not an active president. But because he's a noisy president, it comes across as active to people.
What?
Right? And this is always what the Trump White House does better than the Biden White House does in masking the health issues is that because Trump's noisy himself, social media can look like activity.
All right, that's good, Elias.
When he's really,
again, I don't want the audience getting any stupider
laying
than
in
they
his
have to
bed,
be.
not budging.
We're good, Elias. Please shut this off.
Over.
I can't take it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, you heard the argument, right? Trump isn't active, but he's noisy, so that makes it look like he's active. The guy literally just got back from China. The guy literally has taken thousands of more questions than Joe Biden ever did. And you're going to put Donald Trump on the same plane as Joe Biden and say that, oh, well, they just can mask it better. You hear what Chuck Todd said? They're masking Trump's health problems. When Biden, they couldn't mask that as much. No, maybe Biden's brain turned to mashed potatoes during that debate, June 27th. And up until that point, Chuck Todd didn't seem very concerned about Joe Biden's cognitive decline that I've been talking about since 2019 when he ran the first time. And I got a whole best-selling book to prove it. So again, the fact that the left is trying to do this thing where, oh boy, Trump just turned 80. And he's really going downhill. He's just not very healthy. And what spurred this conversation is the fact that Trump went to Walter Reed for a checkup. When you're 80 years old, I have a wife that's an ER doctor. She knows a thing or two about this. When you get to a certain age, it's good every couple of months, especially if you're the sitting president of the United States. So it's kind of important to stay healthy. For every couple of months, you get checked out. So Trump has been to Walter Reed 3 times in the last 14 months. Okay, so I'm doing the math there. That's about every 4 or 5 months he's getting a checkup. So that's all. And he comes out, and then he's as vigorous as ever, plays a ton of golf, and obviously is working hard for the American people. I'm not being sycophantic here. I'm just going by the numbers and the facts. And instead, this is the type of analysis you get from the Kitchen podcast from the likes of Sleepy Chuck Todd. Meanwhile, before we go to break, I just want to go back to Jackson Dart because it's too good. There's just too many good clips I can play here. Here's Whoopi Goldberg on Dart making the argument that, he's just too dumb because he's a Southern boy, I guess. Or maybe he's too dumb because he supports Trump. And you've got to be, only smart people would support Kamala Harris, right? Here she is in cut number 2. And again, this is just so ridiculously dumb. Cut number 2, go.
Maybe it's not just how to take care of your money they should be teaching folks coming out of school, but what consequences are and what these kinds of things mean. So, we all live in Loin. Yeah. Don't we, though? We live in Loin.
Okay. He's not smart enough to understand the consequences of his actions. What consequences are those exactly? What actions? The action was that, I guess, Jackson Dart was one of 77.8 million people that resoundingly reelected Donald Trump in November of 2024, winning every swing state, winning the popular vote, Republicans taking back the Senate. My dogs are barking. Sorry about that. Anyway, the point is that, look, the bottom line is that if Jackson Dart had introduced Gavin Newsom at a rally or Kamala Harris as a rally, you would have the lady, scare quotes, at The View singing his praises for standing up for democracy. And that's just the way that goes. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. We're back with so much more in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So Samuel L. Jackson, pretty prolific guy when it comes to box office receipts. I think he has been in movies that have made more money than any other actor in history. Now, obviously, you got to adjust things for inflation. Obviously, Sam Jackson usually isn't the star once in a while, but he's more of a co-star, I guess. Peripheral player, Pulp Fiction being probably the most prominent example. And obviously, he's got that voice and just very iconic when you watch some of the classics, especially his best work in the 90s. But now he's coming out for Karen Bass, and that's fine. Again, I'm not going to criticize anybody for their political opinions. We just went through the whole Jackson Dart exercise, right? And he's in Hollywood. So, yeah, they tend to vote more Democrat than Republican there. But it's this ad that he does for Bass where, let's just say, the usual enthusiasm that you get from a Samuel L. Jackson simply is not there. And this is limp. It is the only word I could use here, especially when we're talking about, again, a guy like Samuel L. Jackson, and he's sleepwalking through this thing because, of course, how could you enthusiastically ever support a Karen Bass? Here's cut number 11. Go.
These are the times we need someone who understands government, also understands the needs of the people.
Right.
Someone
like houses
who will go in the streets and gather the people together, not someone who will divide them. Karen Bass is that person. Karen Bass for mayor.
It's like being in a jazz club at 3 o'clock in the morning. What's with that music? That won't change one vote. I swear it won't. You need someone who understands government and the needs of the people. Like what? Houses to live in? So 17,000 don't burn to the ground while you're in Africa at a wedding? Those needs, Sam? Understand the needs of people that don't like walking in parks where their kids have to avoid needles? Where you have homeless encampments that should have their own zip code? Those needs, Sam? That was pretty lame. Meanwhile, all right, just to give you an example of the Sam Jackson I'm talking about here. Cut number 12, snakes on a plane. I hope we beeped it. Cut 12, go.
Enough is enough. I have had it with these mother snakes on this mother plane. Everybody strap in. I'm about to open some windows.
See, that's how we had to do that ad. But no, apparently not. No one said M or F on more movies, I think, also than Sam Jackson. I think he holds that record as well. Meanwhile, Ro Khanna, speaking of California politicians, he's going to run for president. And he's just so bad at this because here he's saying that he never made the Epstein files political. Really? Cut number 17, go.
Neither Massey nor I ever made it political. I never even made it about Donald Trump. We made it about the survivors. We made it about the release of the files.
Oh, okay. Hey, Elias, sorry, I have to stop there real quick. There should have been a second cut on the other side of that where he's absolutely bringing up Trump and making it political. Do we have that? Am I just missing it? Yeah, so where's the second one? Because I don't see it on the cut sheet. And if you have it, don't worry about it. I'll just call for it and you play it.
I might have missed it on the cut sheet, but I should have it.
Okay. Here, just try to play it real quick. We'll make sure that we got it. It's one of those shot chaser things.
Today is a day.
Yeah, call for the other one.
Okay, I'll call for the other one. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Well, here's Roe making it political, and we got tape and everything. Cut number whatever, go.
Today is a day. Today is a day because of the survivors that we can say is the beginning of the end of the Trump presidency. I really believe that.
There are people like President Obama who didn't get anywhere close to this, who are decent, who are moral, who believe in the rule of law and America's character.
Okay, yeah, I never even brought up Trump, never made it political. This is the beginning of end of Trump because of Epstein. And again, I'll make this point till I am blue in the face. Find me the interview where Thomas Massey or Ro Khanna in any year before 2025 where they talked about standing up for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't exist because this is completely and totally political. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back for so much more in just a moment.
The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, big victory for Ken Paxton in Texas last night. That was the primary there against John Cornyn. Cornyn, 4-time winner before this. In other words, he has been in the Senate for 24 years. And because he opposed Trump on some of his agenda items, well, again, Trump has Irish amnesia, where you forget everything but the grudge. And if you are going to go against him, well, you better get that LinkedIn page ready and that resume updated because you will lose. Just ask Thomas Massey in Kentucky. Just ask Bill Cassidy in Louisiana. Ask those 5 Indiana state senators who didn't want to redistrict in Indiana. And now they all got primaried and they all lost. And now, obviously, John Cornyn is no more. Ken Paxton, who is endorsed by Trump, wins easily. And by easily, we're talking by 25 points. This thing was going back and forth, 1 or 2 point race. And then Trump jumps in. And then at that point, I think I was asked by Stuart Varney on Fox, does Paxton have a chance to win? I said he's going to win going away. It's going to be a blowout. And sure enough, that wasn't the hardest prediction to make on my part. That's certainly for sure. But I think the most astounding stat was that Paxton won the election day vote with 87% of the vote of people who showed up on election day. This is post-Trump endorsement, obviously, came out for Paxton. So he had jet fuel behind him. But now go Google what this means for the Texas Senate race, where now Paxton will go against James Tallarico, because every single so-called expert political pundit is now saying this is great news for Democrats. This gives Tallarico an opportunity. Yeah, you guys sang this song with Beto O'Rourke on numerous occasions when he ran for governor, when he ran for Senate, and he lost every time. Oh, yeah, ran for president, too. The golden boy. I think he lasted 2 months. James Tallarico is profoundly worse, believe it or not. And Scott Jennings explains exactly why, just in the end, in Texas, a state that Trump won by double digits, if you think that people are suddenly going to come out for a radical, weird Democrat, it's the only way to put it, weird, you got another thing coming. Cut number 7, go.
And Tallarico, being popular among donors in California and New York and Massachusetts, is never going to wash off the weirdness of the gender thing, of the meat thing, of the God is non-binary, of the Bible actually, endorses abortion. All of these things, wherever you are on the issues, who talks like that? No Texan that you know actually speaks these things out loud, other than Paul. I guess tonight he's latching on, but no other Texan speaks this way.
No other Texan speaks this way, and it's true. I mean, the things that he has said. I mean, let's put it this way. I'll read you this one. One of my favorite quotes from Tallarico. Being Christian and being pro-choice are absolutely consistent because Christianity is a feminist religion. Yeah, that's not weird. Here's another one. The one thing I want all of us to be aware of, recognize, is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6 genders. That alone, he can't win. No way. No way you get independence there. Every Republican's going to come out against this guy, with Paxton having Trump behind him. Again, I'm not saying he's going to win by double digits, because obviously Senate races, people don't come out as strongly as they do during presidential, but 4 or 5 points sounds about right. Let's see. Did they teach you in Sunday school that Jesus Christ himself was a radical feminist? Another quote from Tallarico. Oh boy. The Texas Capitol can be a hostile environment for our trans neighbors. Our office is the first in history in Texas to add pronouns to our official business cards, unquote. These things are one campaign ad after the other. Oh, here's another one. Quote, trans children are God's children made in God's own image. So God is trans. Okay. There is nothing wrong with them. Nothing at all. Except for that whole high suicide rate thing and wanting to change your gender because you hate yourself so much. There's probably something wrong with you. And that goes back to the parents, by the way. Oh, yeah. This is the best one. I have so many Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, Muslims, atheists, agnostics who are more Christ-like than some of the Christians I serve with, unquote. All right. That's your guy. That's the guy the Democrats are excited about in Texas. He will not win. Again, we save tapes around here, and I have no problem with that particular prediction. Meanwhile, another guy that Democrats are absolutely orgasmic about is Graham Plattner up in Maine. We've talked about him before. The guy with the Nazi tattoo. The guy that, I don't know, supports communism. Yeah, that's a thing now these days. The guy that wants to, on day one, impeach Supreme Court justices. All right. I mean, we could go on and on. But Graham Plattner has the backing of Liz Warren, AOC, Mamdani. All the people have been calling Trump a fascist and a Nazi for years now support literally the Nazi. And that is funny. Anyway, Van Jones, by the way, weighed in on this whole Ken Paxton thing winning in Texas. I really should get to this. And Jones on election nights really just pours on, the hyperbole here. He gets all emotional. He gets sad. Thinks about what's he going to tell his kids because this person won. Well, it happened again in cut number 5. Go.
This is a bad night for America. You have a good man running against a bad man, and the bad man won. And just as a parent, that's tough. I mean,
there it is. Oh, I didn't even know he was going to go down the parent route in that clip. Oh, that's beautiful. I can predict these things in advance. This is awesome. He does this every time. He couldn't work race into it because of the white guy versus the white guy, Cornyn versus Paxton. But there you go. Meanwhile, my colleague Jesse Waters has some thoughts on the aforementioned Plattner in Maine. And this is just, I don't know. You want to talk about a guy that's giving Fox News some real material to work with. He's your guy. Cut number 8, go.
Yeah, I can't really figure this out. Guy says all cops are pigs and then says black people don't tip. It's all over the place. He's a Nazi and then he wants men and girls sports. He's an oyster farmer, but he hates lobstermen. Like, I don't get it. He's like said so much stuff. I have the Oppo sheet right here, fresh from the RNC press shop. It's thick, Jessica. I don't even have time to read it. It's just disgusting. I mean, it's even bad for me. He's like Trump. He has said so much. It's like, where do you even start?
I love Trump, though.
I do, but he hasn't said this stuff. This is bad. And I swear the man does not have a Nazi tattoo. I've never seen Trump naked, but that's what Democrats are going to have to start doing. Before a candidate runs, they're going to have to say strip. Because I got to know if you got a Nazi tattoo.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
I liked the theatric beating of the RNC.
I mean, this is the thickest jacket of Oppo I've ever seen. It's 5 and it's dense. He called Jesus a zombie.
Oh.
What do you mean,
okay.
no?
I think we're good. Oh, man. And that's from the 5, by the way. Right? That's some back and forth, mostly Jesse. You hear Kaylee McEnany there as well. And then Jessica Tarloff, who is liberal, always very well prepared. I give Jessica a lot of credit on that. She doesn't walk into that show and doesn't have her facts and just in general, the counter argument, I should say, ready to go. So anyway, but that show, it is amazing to me. 4 million people plus watch that show. And it's on at 2:00 in the afternoon on the West Coast. 3:00 Mountain Time, 4:00 Central, 5:00 here. When people are working or going home from work, if you go to an office and you're still bringing in more than 4 million people, goes up against Jake Tapper, who can't even get 600,000. And that's because it's authentic. You hear that back and forth. Like Jesse genuinely was having a good time with that, right? And the people around the table, it really is like a happy hour. And the funny thing about the 5 is that it was supposed to be a summer replacement show. I want to say it was 2011. When the show debuted, because Glenn Beck ran out of advertisers. Basically, everybody boycotted his show. So then you're not bringing in advertising revenue. Well, time to go. So he and Fox parted ways. And then they just had to find a summer replacement until they could figure out who was going to host the 5:00. So they put together the show The 5, which is on at 5, Roger Ailes. And this thing, gangbusters right out of the gate. And they took 5 people that weren't, the big stars that they are now. Like Dana Perino, obviously White House press secretary. She was doing some work with Fox and Friends and, different things, but she didn't host her own show at that time. So you put Dana in there, you put Greg Gutfeld in there. Let's see. Eric Bolling was in the Jesse seat. And then Bob Beckel, who I believe passed away, he was the liberal. And then on the end was Kimberly Guilfoyle, from what I recall. So yeah, whatever, it worked. And then even though several of these people have been replaced, with the exception of Dana and Greg, it's like Alabama football. They don't, you just have to reload. It's not a matter of rebuilding. And every show is easily number 1, like not even close. Because again, you can't teach authenticity, and those kind of conversations are a trademark that people have just really come to love and gravitate to. Meanwhile, I have to play this because it really is disturbing, actually. Jessica Tisch, who is a tremendous New York City police commissioner, she is now saying, and she's not the type of person who tries to go through fear mongering, or any kind of hyperbole. But here she's talking about that she is now seeing a threat environment like she has never seen before in all her years with the force. And this is something that we absolutely should be paying attention to. Cut number 10, go.
I began my career building out the NYPD's counterterrorism capabilities. And in my 18 years in government, I have not seen a threat environment quite like this one, where multiple pressures are active at the same time and where developments abroad can have immediate consequences here at home. Just last week, a commander for Kataib Hezbollah, a designated foreign terrorist organization aligned with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was charged with helping direct 18 attacks and plots against Jewish and American targets overseas since hostilities began in Iran on February 28th. And he allegedly tried to bring that terror here to New York City. According to the complaint, he sent a map, photograph, and identifying information for a New York synagogue to someone that he believed could carry out that attack.
Wow. So when Jessica Tisch says she's never seen a threat environment like this, be vigilant, people, because something's going to blow at some point. I hate to ever say things like that, but it just seems like there's too much going on here with obviously what's going on in Iran, the Middle East, but more importantly, the anti-Semitism and the hate directed at Jews. It's getting to a boiling point, and obviously the mayor, who should be full-throated about this stuff in terms of condemning it, doesn't seem to mind all that much. And here, by the way, people are having just enough of this guy already. Here we are only, 6 months into this administration, and already now we had a massive protest outside of Gracie Mansion. Many Jews coming there saying that it's just not safe for us here anymore, demanding more from Mamdani, even Muslims showing up here as well. And whoa, boy, wasn't this refreshing. Chants of NYPD outside of Mamdani's residence. Remember, the same Mamdani who called everybody in the New York City Police Department racist and anti-queer. And no, now he's evolved. He doesn't think that anymore. Yeah, he just wanted to win an election. That's why he took that back. Anyway, cut number 9, go.
Let's thank our NYPD for keeping us safe. Every single community deserves to feel safe, and we will never demonize those who are working day and night to make sure we do. Thank you, NYPD. NYPD! 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 NYPD!
Well, beats Death to America and Free Palestine. That's certainly for sure. And I honestly think, look, if you ever want a Republican or a non-Democrat to win again, let's say somebody who runs as an independent, fine, we'll take it. Jessica Tisch should run for mayor. And I think she'd win. I think she has such credibility. And obviously, crime is still a very, very big deal. And Mamdani would have no answers if his own police commissioner decided to run against him. Right? Because you can't run the guy that's run on the Republican side the last 2 times and has lost by something like a combined 48. I'm sorry, let's see, 40 in the first one to Adams and then another 40, I guess, to Mamdani. So let's not run the guy who just wants to get on TV a lot again, who has no shot of winning whatsoever. Right? Run a Jessica Tisch, right? Just like Giuliani, top cop, attorney general, ran and won. That's the only way you win these elections. Let's get the charlatans out of there and get serious people in to run either on the Republican side or as an independent. That's certainly for sure. Oh boy, before we go to break, hey, why don't we go back to the Jackson Dart story? I can't get enough of it. Dan Dakic, he's over at Outkick, going off on Abdul Carter. Remember, Abdul Carter was the fellow first-round draft pick along with Jackson Dart, who decided to go to Twitter for whatever reason and call out Dart for introducing Trump instead of, being a man, just picking up a phone and saying, hey, buddy, and voicing your disagreements privately and not airing that stuff in public. But anyway, here is Dan going off on Abdul. And boy, this is pretty brutal. Cut number 3, go.
So you go to New York, you're the quarterback of the Giants. The president wants you to introduce him. You do it 1,000 out of 1,000 times, and you tell anybody that doesn't like it, including your teammates, to suck it. It is literally that simple. Well, one of the dumbest people in the draft was a guy a year ago named Abdul Carter. He's an idiot out of Penn State that the Giants stupidly took. He was mediocre because that's what highly talented morons do. They played mediocre. How do I know that Abdul Carter is a moron? Here's his tweet criticizing. Thought this was AI. What we doing, man? What we doing, dumbass? Is introducing the president of the United States, you moron.
Oh, wow. Okay. That went well for Abdul Carter. Like, this whole thing's going to be forgotten by the time the season starts. And when the Giants open against the Cowboys, who they never play well against, and they play against the Rams, who are probably the best team in the league. Yeah, I can't see Seattle. They won't. They can't. No. Repeat. We can't have Seattle. They're too nondescript. I got to have, well, my Bears, obviously, would be nice. Bears, Rams Super Bowl. Yeah, I could live with that, I think, except I can't because they're both in the NFC. All right, Bears, Bills. Perfect. Yet Rams, Bills. That would be a good color game. Anyway, I'm going off in the usual tangent on this Wednesday night on Concha at Night, and we wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Nobody plays a victim quite like Zohran Mamdani, and now he's saying, you know what? New York is only expensive because of the Iran war, because you weren't alive for the past 15 years under de Blasio, then Adams, in terms of the spending that has gone completely out of control. Again, this number is astounding. New York's next budget, $260 billion, New York State. Florida, $120 billion. Florida has a bigger population, and yet their budget is well more than half of New York's. So Mamdani, though, however, saying, you know, it's the Iran war, and that's out of my hands. Oh, well, prices go up. I know I said I'd make everything affordable, but that Iran war is really, really tying my hands here, even though the Iran war kind of isn't a thing anymore. Anyway, cut number 19, go.
The war in Iran also is not just a moral affront or a political affront. It's also an economic affront to Americans' ability to make ends meet. And that even trickles down to New Yorkers' ability to live in this city. However, the announcement we made today of a plan called Block by Block is looking to do everything we can to actually lower costs in this city, because we know that at the heart of a cost of living crisis, the number one driver of that crisis is the housing crisis.
Well, there you go. Yeah. The housing crisis. So what are you going to do? Freeze rents? Because that ain't gonna work. It never has. You wouldn't trust this guy to run a bath, let alone the most complex city in the country, possibly the world. But here we go. And again, a year or two from now, he'll blame Trump. He'll blame Republicans. He'll blame whatever he can, except taking responsibility for himself. And again, this is how it works. You got to blame something that's out of your control and then pretend that you're a victim. This happened during, obviously, the Auto Pen administration, where inflation was going above 9%. And who did Democrats blame? No, not Trump. He wasn't in office, so they couldn't do that. They couldn't blame Congress or the Senate because they controlled those houses. Oh, right. They blamed Putin. Of course. Prices are high because of Vladimir Putin and the evil former Soviet Union. Cut number 20, go.
Today, America is battling Putin's price hike.
Help deal with this Putin price hike.
You may have noticed this week that your gas prices have gone up. I want to talk to you a little bit about why. A lot of it has to do with Vladimir Putin.
Right now, of course, we have the Putin price hike.
Putin's price hike is hitting Americans at the pump.
70%.
Well, there you go.
The increase in prices in March came from Putin's price hike in gasoline.
To reduce the impact of Putin's price hike,
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
So because of the actions we've taken to address the Putin price hike, we are in a better place than we were.
I'm doing everything within my power by taking orders to bring down the price of the
Okay. All right. We get it. Oh, boy. And that was the whole thing, right? Because Putin overtook one small part of Ukraine, that drove prices here at home above 9%, and not something like the, I don't know, Build Back Better or whatever that thing was, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was just the Green New Deal. That's all it was. And that spending is what devalued the dollar and therefore put inflation where it was, its highest level since Raiders of the Lost Ark was a thing back in 1981. Anyway, we are out of time, unfortunately. This is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night, or was anyway. But we're back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC here in New York and on stations around the country. Until then, I got two words for you. Bye-bye.